Hello and welcome to Pastor's Perspective. We are here on this Friday afternoon to answer the questions you have about the Bible, the Christian faith, just about anything that's on your mind. Give us a call right now. We would love to talk to you at 888-564-6173. That number is good for the next hour. Brian and Cheryl Broderson from echoesofmercy.com are here to answer your questions. 888-564-6173. How you doing, folks?
Well, I think we're doing well.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah. You know, I was realizing that if you ask anyone over 65 how they're doing, the answer is always okay.
No, we're doing better than okay. But today we did, well, yeah.
I'm not doing better than okay. I think okay is an apt answer for me.
You, yes.
Yes.
Because
I'm feeling my age.
Your ear issue.
Brian will never feel his age.
He
felt his age in his 20s.
Well, today we did feel our age when we walked this path and we got to a point where they had locked the gate and we had to climb over it.
We did.
And then we were
I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who has Meniere's and is 65.
Yeah, we were thinking.
But we did it. Our dog was even intimidated.
I mean, the fence was only 4 feet high, but, nevertheless.
I think it was 3 feet high. But still, it was a challenge.
Sound like this is an insurmountable obstacle.
You know what I realized?
It kind of felt like that.
We could have walked right through that green park and around it.
We could have, yes.
We didn't even realize it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, we could have so walked around that thing. But no, we decided to climb over it, and our dog kind of did the limbo underneath it,
How fun.
But he was just kind of like, what do we do here, guys? That's Barnabas' voice, our dog.
That's what
our black
like.
golden doodle. What do we do here, guys? That's how he sounds.
That's how he sounds.
Okay, so yeah, that was
kind of like Scooby-Doo with a Cheryl mix.
that was the adventure for today, and now we're here.
Mm-hmm. Yay, for more adventures.
We did Cheryl did a little yard work. She kind of went wild with the clippers, and
yes. Well, there were just some branches of these things that were blocking our window, and I want the light to stream in. I think that's like biblical.
Yeah, I think so.
That's right.
Let the light shine.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
888-564-6173 is our number. You can also send in your questions online. Yes.
Tomorrow, I am going to the
When She Leads
conference out in Murrieta, and I'm very, very excited about it. Taking 2 of my buddies, and I have to pick up one at 7:15, and then the reason I'm going tomorrow and not tonight is, 1, I don't want to pack for overnight, but 2, I have a Sunday school appreciation dinner tonight, and one of the reasons I'm dressed like I am is because I am part of a skit, and I am Amanda for sure. Now, I really like this role because I'm supposed to look like I surf, which is really flattering for a 65-year-old to give me such like a beachy part. But this is the fun thing. I needed a puka shell necklace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to buy one. Who wants to buy puka shell necklaces, right? And so I asked all my friends if anyone had a puka shell necklace. And the closest I got was a friend who's close to my age who said, I haven't had one since junior high. So that would be like 40 years or
something like that.
Yeah. So all of a sudden I said, Lord, inspire me. And I realized that in my Sunday school supplies, I had a small box of Apple Jacks and I had some elastic thread. And so I made one of the best imitations.
Imitation puka shell necklace.
Mm-hmm. And Brian was there watching.
Yeah. And the great thing is it's also edible.
It's edible.
Yes.
That's right. If I don't like the food tonight, I'm fine.
Nibbling on your...
Or should there be a famine? I'm fine. I got it. I got my fake puka shell Applejack necklace.
It's always great to have one. You never know.
You never know.
It should be in everybody's emergency kit.
Well, definitely your emergency Sunday school kit.
Yeah, for
your
sure.
Your emergency Sunday school appreciation dinner kit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure.
There you go.
But the great thing about it is now I know what to get Cheryl for Christmas.
More Apple Jacks?
No, a puka shell.
Puka shell. Oh, please, no.
For your next skit.
Please, no.
When you're 75.
I think Amanda for sure is like I don't think they'll ask me to do this again. The other great thing is I'm supposed to bring props. So Brian is coming with me. He's bringing one of his surfboards.
I thought you were going to say Brian is your prop.
No, I wish. 6. You have 6 surfboards, right?
I don't know.
And this is so sad because I always say, could you please clear out like 3? So he's going to bring one tonight. I said, choose your least favorite and let's take it. And he goes, I don't really favor any of them. So I thought, my goodness, how long have they been in our garage? And so you know what I use his surfboards for right now? Water bottle storage. So when you get those big water bottles, as we do, and when they're empty, I store them in between the surfboards.
Yeah.
It's like a shelf.
I thought you would use it as an ironing board or something, but...
No, you can't because it's fiberglass. It could hurt it.
Yeah.
No. I want that to happen.
No, and plus it has wax on the one side. This could be very dangerous for you.
Very dangerous. So to find out about this conference, ladies, which begins later today, whensheleads.org. We've also got a link on kwave.com.
Or you could go just for the date tomorrow, which I'm doing.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay, 888-564-6173 is our number. You can also send in your questions online, which is from what Tim from Prescott, Arizona did. He writes, please shed some light on Matthew 27, verses 52 and 53, which reads in the New Living Translation, tombs opened. The bodies of many godly men and women who had died were raised from the dead. They left the cemetery after Jesus' resurrection, went into the holy city of Jerusalem, and appeared to many people. So Tim asks, did these dead believers resurrect and witness Jesus at that time and then die again at some point later? When I came across this passage, I was very surprised. What do you guys say?
This has perplexed quite a few people.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone's quite sure about this. What my father used to say is he believed that these were those who were passing from, paradise to heaven. But it wasn't that they were seen, but it wasn't that they, went back to their old lifestyles or anything. It was a transitory thing. Would you agree with that, Brian? Transitory? Of course, it's their bodies. It's like a crazy thing, huh?
Yeah. I mean, this is a passage that, like you said, has perplexed many. It's caused even really otherwise good scholars to say, maybe this is a little bit of mythology, which we do not agree with.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, you wish Matthew would have added a little more detail, and then they lived for the rest of, a whole nother.
They moved into the south quarter of Jerusalem. Yeah. You know what's interesting, though, too, is that.
So we don't know.
If they had seen Ben-Hur, kind of gives you.
A little bit.
Yeah. Ben-Hur, Tirzah, and her mom are there. And she's got leprosy, and they were so hoping to see Jesus so she could be cured.
Yep.
And then they see the crucifixion, and as the rain comes down, Tirzah is cleared of her leprosy. Again, Ben-Hur is historical fiction.
Yes.
But that is such a powerful...
It is. That's such a
I don't think I've ever watched Ben-Hur without crying at that part.
That's such a great moment.
But it was a powerful moment when the veil was torn. Jesus said, it is finished. The veil is torn.
In the city. So, again, was it just briefly they appeared? Which saints were it? I think most people would say they were more like local saints versus somebody like Abraham or Moses or someone like that. So, but it's one of those passages that just is there, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. But we don't know any of the details that we wish we knew about it. So.
Okay, Tim, thank you for sending in your question through the Pastor's Perspective page on kwave.com. And the easiest way for you to get to that page is to scan the QR code on our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. If you're watching right now, you see that little QR code there? Just scan that with your phone, and that'll take you right to the Pastor's Perspective page. Hang on, there's like a sidebar going on here in the studio about this passage. What?
You're right.
It's a little bit of a dispute.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But you didn't want to do it on mic.
Well, no, because, when you're right, you don't want to embarrass the other person. You want to just kind of let it go by.
That's interesting. I think I've missed those 3 words every time I've read that. After his resurrection. I always thought it happened at the same time.
Well, it sounds
Obviously,
like it does.
I was the person who was wrong.
It sounds like it
I
does.
can say that so
You know, this
easily.
is like the second week in a row that you were wrong about something, and you
Second week.
actually have.
Admit it, confessed it publicly. You know what, Brian? Because I'm 65.
Yes.
And you know, I'm humble.
Yeah.
What can I say? I've been humbled.
And you're also wrong about a video that we were talking
No,
about when we were on
you
our
are
way
wrong
up
about
here.
that.
But
Yes, no.
that is for a later.
Yes.
Discussion.
Well, I can't wait to see you get up there. But while you're up there looking through all of our DVDs, will you water the plants?
Yeah.
There are very few VHS.
You know, I was in our son's office the other day, and he has some plants in there, you know. And, you know, he's just going around talking to me, and he's just watering them. And I'm thinking, you know, this kid, he was the one out of our 4 kids. He was the one kid that would disappear, and you would wonder where he went, and you would go up, and he would be cleaning his bedroom. It's like,
No,
kids
it was
don't
when
clean
he
their bedroom.
was, actually, it was when he was restricted to his bedroom. He would clean it and rearrange it. And he'd be like, hey, Mom. And I'd be like, okay, are you sorry? He goes, well, check out my closet. And he would have color-coded his clothes. He would have redone his...
I was just so impressed with him watering his plants because
Yes.
I have thought about how many times we have decided to be plant people, and that has never lasted very long.
One of us has decided to be plant people.
Yes.
One of us has only watered when he was asked, could you please water? And the other person has been neglectful. I will say that. Plants, I think, get scared when they see me coming, like, that's the woman that doesn't give us anything to drink. Don't go home with her. Don't go home with her.
You know what I noticed today? That our tomato plant was pretty dry because I watered all the other plants, and then I did
Well,
water
I
the
stuck
tomato
my
plant.
finger down, and it was wet below the surface. So that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
So we have a tomato plant, and we got the most delicious tomato off of that plant.
One tomato.
Because, one. But there's one still. But, you know, there's nothing like homegrown tomatoes and the way they smell. When Little Calvary was built, it was surrounded by tomato fields, and they were letting them go feral. And so we were able to collect as many tomatoes as we wanted, and the smell of tomatoes that are allowed to ripen on the vine and the taste is so rich. It's so good. Mwah. Okay, on that we agree.
You did that in unison.
Yes.
Yes, that was beautiful. So we have another sidebar discussion going on in the studio really quick about the same passage. Could these resurrected saints have been the great cloud of witnesses that we read about in Hebrews 12?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, Johnny.
We'll discuss later
Since
why.
we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, the cloud of witnesses we're surrounded by are
Chapter
all
11.
the people that have been talked about in the previous chapter.
Yeah, chapter 11.
So it's, you know,
Yeah.
chapter 11.
So
sometimes
what it's
people
saying
call it.
is actually you have all these examples
Yes.
that are rooting for you, that really want you and are inspiring you to faith, which is interesting because right now I'm working on a Bible study. I don't know who it's going to be for. That's called By Faith. That's just going to look at Hebrews chapter 11 because that's like one of my favorite chapters.
It's a good one. All right, let's go to the phones now. 888-564-6173, beginning with Annalise in California. Hello, welcome to Pastor's Perspective.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. Tell me when it's better. I don't know.
I think you're
That's
better
a little
now.
better.
Yeah. Are you trying to be
Okay.
quiet?
No.
Okay.
Hi. Thank you guys for being here. I turned on Pastor's Perspective, and when it said Brian and Cheryl, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, Annalise, right now you're my favorite person.
So what's going on?
But
Great to hear from you.
I actually, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you guys remembered me. But I got out of treatment. Just to refresh. I am struggling with an eating disorder, and it really sucks.
It does.
Really, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to explain it to people. Honestly, just like the amount of noise that's like in my head, like every single day, around like every single like meal. It's not normal. Like,
No.
it really sucks, and like I need food to live. Like that's the way God created us. And so but yeah, I got to a healthy weight in treatment, and then I got out, and my family's like not very happy about it.
Not very happy that you got out, or what?
Not very happy that I got out because
They want you to spend more time there? Are they worried about you? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, can I tell you?
and,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
So I've got to tell you this. Our daughter, we had a daughter that had a drug problem, and she had to go to rehab. And I loved her so much that I never wanted her to go back to the state that she was. And I worried about her mental health, her physical health, every iota I worried about her. And so I was just like an eagle watching her. I was just like, oh, should you do that? Should you have that? Should you wear that? Should you? Like, I was on her, and I was actually driving her away rather than bringing her close. And I didn't realize it at all, what I was doing, that I was almost sabotaging all her health. But it was because I loved her so, so much. And I never, ever wanted to see her back in that place again because I loved her so much. And my suspicion is that your mom and dad love you so much, and they're so concerned that you're going to go back to an unhealthy state, that they're like just watching you like a hawk. And I know it's miserable for you because it was miserable for my daughter. And the only way that I was able to completely release her to the Lord, even Brian was saying, Cheryl, you're going too far, was I had a vision from the Lord. And I saw her like in a, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like a huge tube, like that kids like climb up a ladder to go down a slide. And she was climbing up this ladder inside this tube. And as she climbed, her face got brighter and brighter, and she was smiling. And the Lord said to me, Cheryl, I've got her surrounded on all sides. She can only go up. And it was what set me free. And so after that, I stopped kind of, what would you say, Brian? I stopped like nagging her?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, hovering. The helicopter
mom, right.
Yep.
I stopped that, and I was able just to commend all of her efforts. I was able just to commend and tell her everything good, everything beautiful, everything that was so wonderful. And she never went back. She's like the most amazing person. You would look at her now and never know the struggle that she's been through. But Annalise, I want to know one thing. Are you keeping a journal?
No, I have before.
Yeah. I think a journal would be so good for you because you could talk about your frustrations. And I think that when you sit down to talk to your parents about this, because it's a good discussion to have, it's even a good discussion to go with maybe if you have one of the counselors from the place that you've gotten out of, and that you just explain, they're kind of hovering. I feel like they don't trust me. And then they'll say to you, well, trust is something that's earned, because obviously I've been through that. They're going to help you through this with your parents. But I will tell you this, they don't mean to hover or to push you away, but they're so dang concerned about you. They love you so much, or they wouldn't be doing any of that. And if you can see it as, okay, they love me, they're driving me crazy, but they love me. They're driving me crazy, but they love me. And even when your mom starts, if you would walk over and give her a hug and say, Mom, I know you're doing this because you love me, but maybe it's a little much right now. I think she would really, I think that would help. I mean, I know it's both sides, so I don't want to put the whole burden on you because you're the one who's healing. But I do think that it would help to bring her into the process. So, those are my suggestions. But I want to say congratulations, good job, because you have come a long way. And what you've done and what you're going through, it's not easy. But if you were here, I'd hug you. I'm so proud of you because it's an addiction. It's a hard thing. I struggled with bulimia in college, and a little bit of anorexia when after I got married, because I felt like the expectations of others were so high on me. I'm a new pastor's wife, and I had 2 kids, and people started like criticizing me, and I just wasn't ready for it, for the huge criticism. And so I thought, well, I can't control this and I can't control that, but I can control my body. And then I started being just fastidious about how clean our house was, fastidious about my weight, and food became my enemy. So I know what that's like. And I remember my mom who came to me and my dad, they set me down and they said, we don't know what's going on with you, but this isn't good. And, you know, I think it was just them affirming their love to me and their acceptance of me, no matter what weight I was, no matter what was going on, no matter what people said against me. I knew that my mom and dad were for me and loved me and would always be on my side. And it really went a long way to help with the healing. And then my mom did this crazy thing. She said, I'm going to give you $5 and I want you to buy yourself a chocolate chip malt once a week. And I'm like, what? That's like the enemy. You know, that's like what, 2,500 calories or something. I actually used to know the calorie count of everything. And I did it because my weight was pitiful. I mean, I'm 5'7", and I weighed 103 pounds and thought I looked great. I had one lady come up to me one time and go, I never met this lady before. And she goes, I bet you think you look good. You don't. You look terrible. And I'm like, thank you so much, you know. But skinny's not pretty, you know. Skinny's just not pretty. It's not attractive. But it's in our mind. And I still struggle with body dysphoria. I really do. And I have to just say, you know what? I was created by Jesus just the way I am. I have to have these talks with myself, you know, and especially now that I'm getting lines, it's like, I am okay. Jesus loves me just the way I am. My kids love me. My grandkids love me. And it's not about what I look like. It's about how I treat others. It's about what I can do for others, not about what I feel about myself. But what can I do for others? I teach Sunday school, which I just love, and I've got some kids that need to be loved so desperately, and I've got little girls that need to be told that they're perfect just the way they are. And so all of that, I hope that helps somewhat, Annalise.
Yeah. Dad kind of put it, he was like just treat your body as like an instrument of the Lord. Like,
yeah.
You don't want it to be something like if the way you're treating your body is not allowing you to carry out the plans that God has for you, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're young, you don't think so much about it. But when you get older, you realize, you look back and you think, oh gosh, I should have taken better care of myself. So, we do have, as much as it's possible, it's part of our stewardship of what God has given to us. So,
But again, a journal will help you to kind of write the feelings down, because what you're doing is making food the enemy. And I think there's other trauma. One of the ways to discover trauma, like what is it I'm really going through, is to process when you write. And when you write, you're processing. Or when you talk out loud, you're processing. This is how we as women process. It's by talking. It's about writing. And I think if you keep a journal, and a lot of prayer in that journal, and praying as you even write, make it prayers to the Lord, I think you'll figure out kind of what the triggers are, because there are triggers. And whatever those triggers are, I think you'll figure it out a little bit too. It'll help.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that when you were saying that, because the doctors are like, it could be by.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Wait,
part.
you're breaking up. Your phone's breaking up right now.
What did the doctor say? It could be what?
Oh.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, well, it could be like this or that. It could be biological, but like deep down inside, I really feel like it's just like something that I'm not surrendering to the Lord, and I just have like no idea like what it is. I just feel like,
yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, I don't know that it's a lack of surrender. I think it's, there's a book that's great, and it says The Body Keeps Count. And it's not written by a Christian, but The Body Keeps Score. And it's that your body is dealing with something that maybe your mind or your heart aren't articulating. I mean, it could even be like just the, political unrest in the world, and you don't know how to deal with it. And this is the way you're coping with the stress. Mm-hmm. Because what it really is it's when we can't control something, or we feel like something is out of our control, what we try to do is control our bodies. And so something feels out of control. And there are times when I don't know why I'm feeling the way I am, or why I'm acting the way I am. And when I pray, and when I talk to God, and when I like to walk every day and just talk to God, because it's hard for me to sit still. But when I walk and I talk to God, I often figure out, or He often reveals to me exactly what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling. I'll tell you one other story, Annalise, but before I met Brian, I was in college, everything was going great for me on one level, and I couldn't stop crying. I cried every single day, and I mainly was really happy growing up, happy all the time. My dad called me sunshine because I was always happy, and I can't stop crying for 2 weeks. And he pulls me into his office and he said, we got to get to the end of this. You got to stop this crying. It's driving Mom and I crazy. We don't know what to do or what's wrong with you. And so he said, I want you to go in your room, and I believe in the baptism of the Holy Spirit, and I believe in the gift of tongues, which my dad laid hands on me when I was 5 and prayed for, and I received. And he said, I want you to go in your room, and I want you to get on your knees, and I want you to pray in your prayer language until the Lord reveals what's going on. So I went in the other room, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, you're going to be meeting the one you're going to get married within a short time, and you're already feeling that pull away from your parents and away from all the security and everything you've known, and you're grieving that, even though it hasn't happened yet. Because I'd had other boyfriends, but I was never serious. And sure enough, about a week after Christmas, I met Brian, and of course, he stole my heart, and we got married in May of that year. And my whole life was upended, and it was different. And I mean, when you get the love of your life, it just changes the dynamic of all your friendship, the dynamic of all your relationships with anybody else. And I felt like the Lord revealed to me what I couldn't have known any other way. And once I came to terms with it, I told my dad, this is what the Lord showed me. He said, well, I didn't expect that, but does that mean you can be happy now? And I was like, yeah, it can be. I'm fine. I realized that's it. So I think, Annalise, the Lord wants to take you deeper and show you something that you're feeling. And it could even be a spiritual something that the Lord is showing you. And I don't think it's something like necessarily about surrender. I think that's condemnation. I think maybe you're being called into something deeper that maybe you're a little bit scared of. But maybe it's even closer with Jesus, that He wants to give you some gifts that you never even thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Annalise, it was great hearing from you today here on Pastor's Perspective. It's almost break time. By the way, maybe you might want to go to this conference tomorrow. The When She Leads conference, whensheleads.org is how you can find out about it. And you can do the one-day session. I don't know exactly where you are in California, but you can get all the details there. And it's also on the kwave.com events page. So got to take a break now. We will be back with more of your questions at 888-564-6173. Brian and Cheryl Broderson from echoesofmercy.com are going to be here till 4 at 888-564-6173. Call in. One more thing I forgot to mention about the When She Leads conference. K-Wave is going to be there. So if you do go, make sure you stop by and wave hi. This is Pastor's Perspective. 888-564-6173 is our number. I'm Brian Perez here with Brian and Cheryl Broderson from Echoes of Mercy.com.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Now
Had to do that once.
He's discovered. That's okay. We'll get a lot of promotion because you always like to do stuff like that.
I do.
So,
I do. And that way I'm saying the name 3 times.
That's amazing. Okay. So I just have to say
It should be
one
mercy,
thing.
mercy.
Yes, that's true.
Say one thing. When Cheryl was talking, like before the break,
About Annalise?
she was going down this long list of just how confident she was in the love that all these people had for her. And the one person she left out of that was her husband. So, just for the record, I love you too.
And yeah, but
Kids, grandkids, parents.
Another sidebar.
What?
All right, 888-564-6173 is the number to call on Pastor's Perspective. Here, what's
That was forever ago. You didn't have any kids to love you then, so
but that was part of it. Brian, I'm sorry, but that was okay.
Okay, this sidebar will remain
A sidebar.
probably a good idea.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk to Erica in Corona, listening on FM 107.9 K-Wave. How can we help you, Erica?
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. And just one quick sidebar. I'm a mom of a kid who's 11, who's also going through a lot of mental issues. So anxiety, all these things. So when you're speaking, my heart is just so strange. So just beating so hard because I can hear everything that you're saying and what you're experiencing. And as a mom, the pain of all of that. So just before I ask my other questions, I know my son, when he's in the middle of it, it's hard for him to understand God.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just speak to that briefly? Like, how can I, as a mom, support that he knows, and everyone that's going through mental issues, that they're young, that God does love them, even though they're going through this?
Mm-hmm. And is it anxiety? What did you say it was? Is it
anxiety, OCD?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's ARFID, which is a little bit of everything at the moment.
Yeah.
He's doing so great. People love on him and pray for him, but
yeah.
Of course,
Yeah, and I think, here's the difficulty. The challenge is, these things are nervous system disorders. They're physiological problems. I think they're rooted in that, and they affect us. They affect the way we think. And so it's hard. The difficulty is it's hard to get clarity in your thought process sometimes, and it's hard to settle on just like, okay, God loves me, and then I just rest in that because, like with anxiety, for example, you don't rest. You just, everything keeps going. Your brain keeps going 1,000,000 miles an hour. You say, oh, God loves me, and for a second you kind of have that rest, and then you're like, oh, but what about this and that and the other thing, and you go off like that. So the best thing to do is to know that nothing changes for him or any other person in relation to how God feels about them at the time. So God doesn't love you, or he's not going to help you more if you have clearer thoughts or you're able to get free from fear and things like that. He loves you through all of that stuff. And he allows us at times to go through those things. And there is a point, because I've been through some of these things in my life, there's a point where you just have to say, okay, regardless of how I feel, this is the truth. God loves me. And I'm going to just, to the best of my ability, I'm going to rest in that and know that this thing that's preventing me from resting, God has control over that too. And you just have to kind of put yourself in a place where you just sort of repeat that over as often as you need to do it.
You know, Erica, I know you're asking as a mom how you minister to especially an 11-year-old, right? Because
can he get that in his brain?
Yeah. He's kind of helpless. But I think, again, prayer, continually praying, but then sometimes just praying for him, like with him right there, and just say, honey, let me pray for you. And just even saying, God, I know how much you love him. And I know that even these things you want to use for glory. Even the obsessive compulsive that makes him feel like he doesn't fit in or he shouldn't be here. I know that you've got a purpose and you don't make accidents. And I know that he was made in your image and he's special to you. And I think one of the things that is missing in our whole culture, I'm talking Christian and non-Christian, is self-acceptance. And somehow we have this weird norm of how we're supposed to feel. And if we just feel like that, nobody feels like that. Nobody feels like they've got it together unless they're a narcissist, right? And most people don't feel it. So they're thinking, oh, it's because I'm in the wrong body. Or because I've got this problem, or because I don't have this. I mean, and we're not teaching as a society, we're not teaching in school, we're not teaching what is your DNA telling you about, because we don't believe we're created. We believe we're all accidents, or that's what our culture is teaching us. And so when we say you were created by God, and whatever you've got has special purposes. And I know that they have special purposes that are yet undiscovered. And I know sometimes it makes you feel strange. But everybody throughout history who was special, whether it was Einstein or Churchill, you're going to find that they all struggled with issues of feeling that they didn't fit in. Anyone who's done, I mean, look at Elon Musk. I mean, he's got some OCD issues, and he was able to invent one of the, first, gasless cars. So I think, one thing would be to look at people who have those issues and where they're at, maybe put up posters of some of these people and their accomplishments as a mom. And then, just pray for him, pray with him, just constantly, and say, you know what, we're going to get through this together. And I just know that you're an awesome young man and that God can use even these things that you don't like right now for something amazing. So I think that's how I would read it out to an 11-year-old. And that's coming from a Sunday school teacher and,
And a mom.
And a mom. And a mom and a grandma. Yeah. And
Thank you so much. And he's listening right now. So I'm like, that's what I tell him. That's what we do.
Yep.
And, I hope maybe hearing it from someone else.
Yep.
Good.
I will also add on to that.
Yeah, because I have a little OCD too. Brian will tell you, and I'm hyperactive, and I have attention deficit for sure because it's hard for me to do that, and yet it's allowed me to, once you kind of accept this is just how I am, then you can kind of channel that energy. And that's what I've learned to do, to channel the energy and to, use it, just give it to God. Say, all right, use this for your glory. And he does, And all my friends, they joke. They say squirrel because they know I get distracted really easily. So he's not alone. In fact, that's, I think, why I love the little hyperactive boys in my class because I relate to them. I know what it's like. And so someday he's going to be a very compassionate, maybe Sunday school teacher because he'll understand.
That would be great. Thank you so much for that. And I'm so sorry that was a side note.
That's okay.
Can I ask my other question, or is that?
Nope.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm so sorry. So the other question that I had that was bothering me, I just keep putting in my mind is a couple of weeks ago I heard a sermon about Acts. I think it was chapter 17, and the pastor was talking about how he used the word nations. I just didn't quite get it. He was saying something about God and put nations, and if those boundaries are mixed or crossed, and that's when hate comes up and racism comes up. And then, but then that just didn't make sense I didn't get it from where he was getting it from. It was Acts chapter 17 when Paul was talking about God building, having made all the nations.
Yeah.
So in that one sentence, I don't know how he got that out of it. So it just didn't get.
Yeah, I don't know how he got that out of it either.
So that was like, okay. And then, so he said, in this side of heaven, that's how he wanted it to be, like nations separated, and if the boundaries crossed, then.
Right.
Read it on Revelation, and then the word nation comes up again, and then the healing of all nations. So then I'm like, so then what is God's intention of that word?
You know what I think? Yeah. I want to just say something, and then I know Brian's going to. But years ago, I read a book by Christopher Wright, and it's called The God I Can't Understand. But anyway, in that book, he talked about how in the time to come when Jesus rules and reigns on the earth, he said there's something beautiful about cultures. And, we're an amalgamation in the United States, and yet there is something beautiful from the cultures. I'm part Irish, and when I went to Ireland, I was just like, oh, this is so fun, and just to put in that, on my dad's side, I'm part French, and I'm English, and I love tea. And so what he was talking about is that every culture has specialities, every culture, and they're not to be resented or to be rated or to be, compared like as one superior than the other, but they're to be enjoyed. And he talked about how the Bible constantly talks about how the nations will bring their best to Jesus when he's on the throne. That they'll bring, and he was saying like the Greeks, when I was in Greece, like some of the outfits that these dancers wear, they're white and they wear these little berets, and they'll come dancing with this, with their Greek dancing before the Lord, and we'll all be like, wow, and the Irish might bring their rain dancing, and doing this and their Celtic music with the fiddles. In other words, all of this, or Mexico will come with the with their song and the salsa dancing, maybe a little bit purified or sanctified, but all the nations coming with what they do best and what they know best, with their best of their foods. I think, one of my favorite things is, I love Mexican food, Brian, and I love Indian food. We love Italian food, but we love all the flavors in these different foods, and Chinese food and all these different foods, that they're going to bring the best of their nation, the best to Jesus. And instead of it being a comparative thing, it will be a thing where we all say, wow, glory, glory, hallelujah, glory. And so I think that what that means is that God has had a hand in everything that's beautiful about a culture. I hope that helps, because that has been my understanding. Brian, what do you want to add to that?
Okay. So the word nations is it's a word, it's a Greek word, but I think you'll get it. It's ethnos. Mm-hmm. And so we get the word ethnic or ethnicity from the word ethnos. And it means people groups. So, we have nations today that are very specifically nations, like the United States is an independent nation. In biblical times, it wasn't exactly like it is today, but of course you had a variety of different people groups. You had Romans, and you had
Jews, Arabians.
You had Jews, Arabians. You had Ethiopians. You had, just people groups. And so the word nations in the Bible should probably better be understood as people groups. And then, but what Paul is saying here is actually really beautiful, because what he's saying, he's making clear that we all came from the same source. We all came from the same person. And verse 26 says, and God has made from one person every nation of people to dwell on the face of all the earth. So one blood, one person. He's talking, of course, about Adam. and Eve would be included, obviously, because couldn't make any people without Eve. And so, but then it says, and he has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwelling. So basically what Paul is saying is that God has put people, so I happen to be born in California. Cheryl happened to be born in California. As we watch our lives unfold, we realize that, the plan of God has worked out in our lives. God put us in a place where his plan could be worked out. So he puts people where they're going to be able to hear about him and find him and flourish. That's what Paul is saying, because he's appealing to people who are worshiping idols, and he's calling them away from the idolatry, and he's talking to them about the God who made everything and the God who is looking to bring everybody into this beautiful relationship with him.
And then, of course, the nations, when you read that, another passage is, again, it's the ethnos.
Well,
but there is like a cultural element, too, that's beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, and when you talk about ethnic food, what are you talking about? You're talking about the foods of different people groups, right?
I think I love them all.
But you think of Zechariah, the end of Zechariah, and you think of the Feast of Tabernacles, and it says, "And the nations shall bring their glory." Revelation says the same thing. And so, what does that mean? Well, all of these wonderfully distinct features of these various cultures are going to bring their stuff, like those great dishes that we ate in Peru.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
They're going to bring those to the feast.
Yes.
And so, yes.
It is, what is it in El Salvador, pupusas, that you ate a few too many there. And
Hey, I did not.
just the wonderful things that
Yes.
cultures have. And again, I think it goes back to that almost self-acceptance. Where we have appreciation for each other rather than saying, "Oh, here's the norm that we have to be all
and unfortunately, because of fallen sinful nature, well, my culture's better than yours. We do this better than you, and that's just part of the pride of a sinful condition.
I hope that helps. Does that help, Erica?
Hang on, let me bring her back.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I think I was getting all that. So just like, so there was no intent of God separating the ethnicity, like, oh, you're going to stay in this group and this group. And
No.
Mixing? That's what it was coming out.
Okay. Yeah. No. The only.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I mean, some people have mistakenly taught that you shouldn't have like interracial marriage. And then they try to use the Bible, as a basis for that. And what they do is they say, well, look, God forbid Israel from, marrying or associating with these groups of people. He did, but it had nothing to do with their ethnicity or any of that.
Even so,
it was their idolatry
Right.
that God was protecting them from.
And you look at Ruth, the Moabitess,
Yes, right.
who comes into the line of Jesus. And why? Because she chooses to love God and walk with God. You look at Tamar, who's a Canaanite.
Yeah.
You look, and these are all people in Bathsheba, who was a Hittite.
Yeah.
So these are all people. It's interesting. Rahab, who again was a Canaanite. All these people are in the lineage of Jesus, and they're all Gentile women.
Yeah.
With the exception of Mary.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I think on the other hand, it sounds like the pastor was basically, I don't know, it sounds like he was sort of saying like, yes, we got to have borders and God set it up this way. So, the immigration and all of that stuff. Now, there is truth to that. God did set boundaries, and Israel, he said, okay, this is going to be your land. You're going to, from this place to this place will be your land, east and west, and from this place, north and south, this shall be the boundaries of your land. But it never meant that nobody could cross the border.
right. It was
Just like it doesn't mean that today.
But think about how many nations, like World War I was all about the river between France and Germany, and it was a border dispute. Like who got the land? Look at the Ukraine and Russia right now. It's because Russia wants the Ukraine. How many wars have been fought over land grabs? a majority. So God's saying, you're not going to do that. This is the place where you're at. Don't try to get your neighbor's land. So it's partially that too. I hope that helps, Erica.
Something else I heard recently, they were talking about the Tower of Babel.
Yes.
Genesis 11:8,
Yes.
where it says, "So from there the Lord scattered them throughout the earth, and they stopped building the city." That was something that was brought up just as a, well, see, this here shows that it's people are supposed to be separated. What would you say?
That was a thing about to go out to all the world. It wasn't about...
Well, God had told them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And then they got stuck and
They went
said,
to huddle.
we don't want to go. We want to stay together and we want to do our own thing. So
And if we're stay together, then we can be greater than God. So it was actually a pride issue and a disobedience to God, because God wanted them to, again, fill the earth, populate the earth. And that was a refusal to do that. But again, remember, we all come from Adam and Eve. We all come. I mean, there's no, Paul himself said there's neither Jew nor Greek, barbarian, nor Scythian.
Slave or free.
Yeah. But Christ is all in all. And so, I mean, again, and it's not about...
And that's the church. The church is the ideal. What God is wanting to do through the church is he's wanting to break down all the barriers that men have built up over, the centuries or whatever, that have caused them to live in hostility to each other, divided from each other and stuff. So when you come into the church, you're coming into a whole new, Peter calls it a holy nation. You're coming into a new group of people where there's equality all the way across.
Yep. All right. Annie in Vista, thanks for calling in to Pastor's Perspective today. What's your question for Brian and Cheryl?
Hi there. Well, it's been fun listening. I listen all the time, but I was taking notes because I'm at home right now.
Okay. Well, you were very patient because you waited a long time.
Oh, I didn't even need to be patient. I love you guys. So I have someone in my life that was raised Catholic, and they aren't saved yet, and they're very, very sick and ready to die.
Oh, my. And
so I heard Pastor Brian Broderson give the name of a Catholic church where the pastor priest teaches from the Bible.
He did.
I wanted to be able to give them name and address.
Yeah, the problem with that, Annie, is...
They're way down in South San Diego.
Okay.
And I thought that's where...
Yeah, this was in North County. This was actually in Vista, where you're calling from. And this was 30-plus years ago, so that...
And the priest ended up feeling that celibacy was not of God.
So
left the priesthood. The diocese was super mad at him at the time for teaching the Bible. Left the priesthood and married a woman in the church, and he is happily married to this day.
But here's what I would recommend that's even better, I think, because obviously, they're in South County, and who knows what that particular church is doing today, because different priests will come in with different, ideas and so forth. But a program on YouTube called Word on Fire, Bishop Robert Barron. Bishop Robert Barron is a Catholic bishop who loves Jesus and loves the Bible, and he teaches the Bible very, very well. And I would, this, they don't even have to leave their house. They could just, if they've got a computer, they can tune in, and you could even yourself, maybe watch a couple of messages and recommend to them that, hey, this Catholic bishop, Roman Catholic bishop, he is really dynamic, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, so you can go to wordonfire.org and go down to the very bottom, the footer of the homepage there, and you'll see the links to the YouTube channel for Bishop Robert Barron. Hey, thank you very much, Annie, for calling in today on Pastor's Perspective. We have just about run out of time.
Oh, my gosh.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you at church on Sunday, including Sunday night. Back to Basics Live.
6:30, Back to Basics Live, the book of Acts.
Yes.
And it's chapter
21 and 22.
Oh.
And that's in the fellowship hall.
Okay, don't try to do 2 if you're trying to cover too much. Remember, 1 chapter at a time, it will work.
I did a chapter and a half last week. I'm doing a chapter and a half this week.
Oh, scary.
You keep the narrative. You got to stay with the narrative.
Okay.
All right, guys. We'll be back on Monday to answer more of your questions here on Pastor's Perspective. For Brian and Cheryl Broderson from echoesofmercy.com, I'm Brian Perez, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.